I met an impaired man at the supermarket and helped him with his wheelchair, but now he also expects me to take him to his house. I got so emotional that I ended up buying him a new wheelchair. A couple of months ago I was at the grocery store, after watching my favorite NCAA basketball team lose their game at the Sweet 16. I was obviously upset, and looking to drown my sorrows with some more brews at home. As I left the grocery store I passed by a man who was obviously both physically and mentally impaired. I noticed that he had a backpack on the back of his auto wheelchair, and a whole gallon tub of ice cream had fallen out. So I put down my 12-pack and zipped his ice cream back into his backpack. He muttered something to me, but I couldn't understand what he was saying. Feeling good about myself, I turned to walk out of the store, and as I leave I hear a scraping noise on the floor like nails on a chalkboard. I dismiss it, and then again, I hear it, so I turn around to go talk to him, which again, I can barely understand. When I get to him I quickly notice that he's holding the front wheel of his wheelchair in his hand, and asking me to fix it for him. I took it in my own hand and examined it. It was a broken metal piece, and there was no way I could fix it. "Where are you trying to go?" I said calmly the first time. A completely unintelligible answer followed. "Can I help you?" I said a bit louder this time. I finally made out the words, "bus," and so off we went to the bus stop across the street. His wheelchair was not only low on battery, but since he didn't have a wheel, I had to hold it upright and push it forward at the same time. It was also very, very heavy. It was not fun in any sort of way, but I was there to help, and by God I was going to do it. So we get to the bus stop. It's not that one. Hoop, I thought to myself. I thought this was almost over, and I'd have my triple G points for the day. So we went across the street and down a block and went to the next stop. By this time I'm starting to pick up on his verbal and physical cues, and can tell a little bit more of what he's saying. He wants me to wait with him for the bus. His name was Carl. He had something around his neck but didn't want me to take it off, but I could see his name. After about 15 minutes the bus finally arrives, and I help load him, pay his fare, and get him strapped into the wheelchair section. I sort of explain the situation to the bus driver, and he just looks at me with this bewildered face. What the hell am I going to do with him? He says. This was really the point where the whole situation started to hit me deeply. I could hear Carl muttering some words that I couldn't make out, and I could have left feeling great about myself as a person. After all, it's not like he asked me to take him home, but in all of his mutterings, I could tell that Carl needed my help. The bus driver couldn't take him home. Through all his disability, he looked at me, human to human, right in the eye, and I knew he needed help. Even though he didn't say it, I knew what he wanted me to do. All men in the world were equal at that moment. I turned to the bus driver and said that I would go get my car and follow the bus to his stop. If I could have just fit him into my car I would have. Of course, it was a long way away, and in the opposite direction. As the bus driver waited for me I got in my car and turned to follow the bus. I muted the music in my car, and then I started crying. Like a baby. How could I have thought something as stupid as a basketball game was actually important in life? How could I actually be so bummed about something so trivial? Here they are, people all around us, 24/7 who need help. And I watched basketball and then got mad at a loss. What does Carl have to deal with every day that I don't? My emotions are petty and first world. I cried harder than I ever had. For humanity I guess. My own loss of it. So we finally got to his stop, in a bad area of town, and got Carl's address off of his name badge. It's not close either, and I have to do the balancing act with his super heavy chair again. I get to his street and it's on top of a huge hill. F it, let's do this, I think to myself as I start making my way up the hill. Just then I was hit with the most magnificent energy from the inside out. I started taking faster steps, and all of a sudden the weight of the chair disappeared. Eventually, I started jogging, and Carl and I were both laughing hysterically.